The challenges for small town theaters are many. We have places where sometimes 50 miles, there is no movie theater at all, what I would refer to as cinema deserts. If you don't create the movie-going experience for children and young adults, they don't develop that habit and they'll never pick it up. You can't miss what you don't know.
It's tough making a living in the movie industry now.
We've lost over $100,000 2 years in a row. This is our third year where we're on that track.
Our greatest challenge today is how we're treated by the studios.
They determine when and how you get the film.
If I could book things the way I want to, I'd make 3 or 4 times as much money.
The film companies are cutting their own throats.
So how come you keep at it?
Because we enjoy doing it and the community needs it. The community supported me, I support the community.
I grew up coming here as a little kid to this same drive-in. It's one of the few around.
This is our 62nd season.
I started working here in 1998 when I was 16.
My grandfather taught me how to be a projectionist when I was 13.
I actually had my first kiss in this theater.
This fair land, I'll stay no more.
Movies are now just like data parts streaming in the air. When it's real, that's the payoff.
We're at a turning point where film could disappear.
The old motto of the movie house is that you are being treated like royalty, whether you are the mayor or farmer. The movie house was the pride of that town.
I'm going to the west.
Hello, Rustin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about your brand new documentary, The Last Picture Shows, which is a deep dive into the state of bricks and mortar cinemas, at least west of the Mississippi, as far as I could tell. I wasn't sure if that was right. I know, it appeared that way in the documentary.
West of the Mississippi, small towns in western states, and specifically small towns, and specifically cinema deserts, towns with many miles in between one open theater and the next.
Yeah. So right, and there were well, first of all, where are you right now anyway?
I'm in Seattle.
Okay, right. You're a Seattle-based filmmaker. That's right.
Yeah.
And the film, again, it's called The Last Picture Shows, had its world premiere at the Santa Barbara Film Festival. And it's heading to New York momentarily, August 7th at the Village East in New York City. And then we'll get more details from the publicist soon. But as we're speaking, I know it's going to be at the Laemmle's or at however many, one or two in Los Angeles. It's
going to be at the Royal Theater in LA. And then it's also going to play at the Frida Cinema on August 25th. And then it's going to be in Ojai, California on August 30th.
All right. Now you're just bragging. You're just showing off.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
And yeah, like we're saying, this is a celebration as well. I mean, it's sort of a jagged pill, in a way, the film, because we're looking at so many of these films either that have already shuttered or they're just, suffering, right? Economically, so many. So it's kind of, but there's also that beauty to them. And
there's a little
you fell in love with.
Yeah, there's some hope in it too. I had originally set out on this Odyssey, plug for the Odyssey.
Exactly what it is, right?
Set out on an Odyssey to document these lost theaters to history. And originally, I'd intended to do kind of a brooding, sort of Bella Tarr, black and white, moody, walking in the mud in a rainstorm kind of film about these forgotten spaces. But then I started meeting some of the owners and managers of these theaters that are still existing, and they've survived the conversion to digital. They survived COVID. They survived streaming and Netflix. They're still out there putting movies on a screen, and they get enough people in the seats to survive. So my idea for the film kind of changed, and I decided to make it a more forward-thinking, somewhat hopeful film. I still wanted to capture that melancholy. I didn't want to
a little bit of that Bella Tarr still in there, but
yeah, right. I wanted that in there.
So some Mike Nichols or somebody, or Rob Reiner, some sort of joie de vivre in there as well.
Yeah. I wanted that. Yeah, no, one of my favorite directors is Alexander Payne, and he has this great way of even though he's using actors, he gets them to portray what feels like really real three-dimensional people and all their quirks and all their kind of strange malapropisms or whatever. And I just wanted to, that's the people in the film have that.
It's funny because I was just about to ask you if you could kind of, because you must have talked to so many of them, and I was going to ask you if you felt there was some common strain in, other than self-destructiveness about owners of these independent cinemas. One takeaway I had, in terms of my experiencing these subjects in your documentary, is that they understand the realities of how foolish it is to, on one hand, but there is such a obviously a rewarding experience also owning these gems, but that they're also kind of realistic. They know these are not going to be big money makers for anybody anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the common characteristics of the owners are that they are business people. So they're running a business. They're going to do whatever they need to do to keep the business going. They are also people who often grew up in these towns and maybe moved away and maybe came back. They have kids and they want to raise their kids there. They are committed to this place that they call home. And so that requires a certain amount of optimism to keep their theaters going. And they're aware of the constraints on the business. They're aware of what they get from the studios and how the studios dictate what they show and how long they show these films. And they're sometimes get put in a bind with that because they can't destroy their relationship with the people who actually
they know their ticket buyers, they know their community, they know what people, but unfortunately they're working with so many constraints. Talk a little bit about more, since you brought it up, talk a little bit more about the studios and these constraints.
Well, the theaters work with booking agents, and the booking agents get the films from the studios, and they may have a string of 50 to 75 theaters that they work with, and she or he will email them all and say, okay, I've got Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods for you. And they'll book it in 75 theaters. That's why when you drive through these small towns, the same movie is playing at every theater. And I always wondered, I wonder why that was. Why did that happen? It's because they're required by the theaters to keep a film for 2 weeks. And they play it on what's called on the break when the film opens nationwide. And they want to be one of those theaters because their audience is reading about it, hearing about it. They'll get a fairly decent sized turnout in the first weekend for that movie, and then it really tails off. But they have to keep the film on the screen.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and so why don't the movie theaters say, okay, we're going to give you The Odyssey, or we're going to give you Minions versus Monsters. What's the name of that thing that's out now? Minions and Monsters. I don't know. We're going to give that film to you, but you only have to play it for 4 days, Thursday through Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. And then the rest, you can give it back to us and play we'll give you this other littler film, the smaller film that you can play. Like, I don't know. Is The Invite playing at any of these single screen theaters anywhere? I'm not sure, but it would be great because that was I thought a really good movie, not for kids, but a very,
Yeah.
you know, entertaining, well-made, interesting film, and I think a lot of adult audiences would want to see that movie. So anyway, the theater owners are kind of stuck with that, and the ones that break out of that pattern, they can say, we don't want the film on the break. We don't want the Odyssey when it opens. We'll take it 3 weeks from now. I know that everybody else is going to read about it, but we are the only theater here. We'll take it 3 weeks from now, and we are going to, and when we do get it, we can show a different film at 3 o'clock, a different film at 5 o'clock, and then we'll show the Odyssey at 7. So they have more variety.
And you're making such a case and such an argument for having more than one screen, and so many of these vintage cinemas that were the film follows are the original. Most of them are still kind of the original building, this original structure where there's one big screen, which is such a lovely experience. On the other hand, though, because of what you just described in such great detail, a twin would have the capability of moving that 2 week tanker, right? After the first few days that's tanking, they can move it to the smaller screen and bring in an indie film, or like an art house film, or a foreign film, or a dramatic film with people in it that might actually appeal to the audience. They can play with it a little bit more. So it's just that they're in a bind, because I think it seems like they want to keep the theater in its glory, that it was intended, how it was intended. I mean,
a lot of these theaters are narrow. They may have 100 seats, but they're narrow. It's really hard to divide a cinema like that without a huge expense. You have to put a wall in the middle and turn all the seats to a different.
And have maybe separate entrance, create more entrances and fire exits, etc. Exactly.
Right. So it's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially when you have a sloping floor. I'm not an architect, but you have a sloping floor that creates a lot of problems. That's why a lot of theaters still are hanging on in those dead main streets of America, where there's nothing else in a town. But the theater is still standing there, and it's taking up a good chunk of space. You can't really renovate. It's hard to renovate something that has a sloping floor.
It made itself obsolete.
Yes, right.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, the opposite. Right. In other words, it's you can't really replace it. But I'm up in the Hudson Valley, and which is east of the Mississippi, which we'll, I'm sure, visit in your sequel. And we have in our next town, which is really that we don't really have much of a downtown where I live, so it's right next door in the town of Catskill, New York, is a main street with an old cinema on it, which has been renovated. It's a beautiful theater, but it has 2 screens. So they took it was bigger, so they had a balcony. So that was turned into a cinema.
Right. Some will do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the main, the ground floor cinema is very big and beautiful. And, they're not it doesn't appear they're dealing with the studios.
Yeah.
They're running it through independent means with, and programming it off, sort of independently from these studios. That's what I'm gaining, because they don't seem to be showing any studio films, first-run studio films, for 2 weeks.
Right. So there's a theater in my film that we meet the owners early on, and it's in Susanville, California, and it's the Sierra Theater. Gorgeous exterior, just classically beautiful marquee, and a huge interior, and they have a balcony, and they turned the balcony into another theater. So they ran it that way for many, many years, but they finally, after COVID, they were losing $100,000 a year, 3 years in a row. They finally closed, but an update that I gave at the end of the film is that they were looking for a local nonprofit to buy it. The nonprofit didn't come through, so they turned themselves into a nonprofit, and they started hosting other events, and now they are showing movies again. And this is a couple who's owned this place for over 40 years, and you want to say, like, why don't you just give up? They also have a multiplex in town.
Well,
And
I was going to say just down the street they have a multiplex.
yeah, yeah. But you want to say like, why do you keep at this? Well, because they love this beautiful building. They don't want to, and they were the caretakers, you know. They owned it, but they also it's just a physical space that they wanted to take care of. So it's hard to give that up, you know. It's almost part of their home, and they're sticking with it. But they have struggled for many years to
Yeah.
get their revenue back up.
Did you grow up in Seattle?
Yeah,
You did. So
I
did you
did.
have a theater
Oh,
like that?
so many. I mean, let me be more specific. I grew up 30 minutes south of Seattle in a small town called Puyallup, named after an Indian tribe there. And but we had art house theaters in Tacoma, which was a short distance away. The Roxy, the Rialto, the Temple Theater. And then I went to college at University of Washington. Got up there in 1976, and it was art house. It was an art house mecca. It was a dream. I could just walk from my dorm room to about six different art house theaters that were all showing the latest, greatest foreign film, black and white film, doing a retrospective of Sam Peckinpah. I was in heaven. Nearly every single one of those theaters has been, 7 to 10 of them have closed in the last 10 to 15 years, all shut down. One burned to the ground, another one was demolished. That was really sad to see, you know, really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't say which one was my favorite. I tell people that my favorite one was the last one I saw the greatest movie at. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in on the mean street. This is a running joke, and I abused on the mean streets of Forest Hills in New York. And just down the road from Artie and Paul, right? You know. Anyway, I grew up with there was the Quad Cinema, which was a like a one of those palaces,
Hmm.
single it turned into a multiplex, but it was a when I first was a kid there, it was a single screen palace type theater. Then there was the Continental, which I think was a twin, and then we had the Forest Hills twin. We had the there were like maybe two. Then there was a second run theater on the other side of town on Metropolitan Avenue, I remember. And there was one more sort of on the edge of where near Rico Park in Forest Hills. Can't remember the name of it. All gone except for the Midway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about that 50 years ago, but that
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
growing 45 years ago. I was a kid growing up
yeah.
there and went to all of those theaters. I saw, everything that would come out because there were so many movies playing right down the street in our neighborhood, and
Yeah.
it's just a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. They're all gone. All of the theaters I mentioned that were in the city of Tacoma, not too far from where I actually grew up,
Hmm.
they're still there, but they've all been turned into they do like
Right.
live music acts, you
I
know.
see.
I think
Right.
one of them might actually be closed, but and in
Mhm.
Seattle, all of our downtown movie palaces, right in the main part of downtown, the Coliseum, we had the Music Box, we had the Town Theater, all gone, all gone. They,
Right.
yeah, turned into condos or
Uh,
department stores, whatever. Yeah,
or best of all, a drugstore, a
yeah,
Walmart.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad to hear, if not for at least if it's providing some form of cultural entertainment, if not cinema. I'm always glad to hear if these buildings still exist. Because, the
yeah.
movie, your documentary, again, it's called The Last Picture Shows, a play on the Bogdanovich film, which makes a cameo appearance in your film.
Hmm.
You have to pay for that clip.
I did not.
It was
Fair
just
use.
okay, right, fair use.
All the clips in the movie were approved for fair use by a law firm that was the biggest single
Which
expense in making the film.
the law firm,
Yeah,
hiring
yeah,
the law firm, but they
yeah.
saved you money, I assume. So
Yes,
yeah, are they
yeah.
a Seattle-based law firm?
No, they're based in Washington, D.C.
Okay,
Jazzy Butler,
okay.
LLC. You look them up, and they've
Thank you
sort
for
of written the
sharing.
new book on fair use
Oh,
law.
beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah,
mentioning them.
yeah.
Uh, so, um, by the way, I don't like to brag. You could tell I'm
Okay.
lying already, but Peter Bogdanovich was on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, when? I mean, he died
Oh,
like
I
what, 3 years
mean,
ago, something?
no, more than 3 years ago, probably like
Oh,
6 years ago, 6 or 7. So he was
oh
slowed
man.
down considerably, but I was sitting there with Peter Bogdanovich, and I had 15, 20 minutes. I mean, was not, I should have just locked the door from the inside at this publicist's office and just,
Yeah.
kidnapped him in a way. But I did have it, and I got him to sign one of his books that it was a nice thing. I've had
Yeah.
a few of these guys, before they're all gone now too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I got to give a plug for Paper Moon, which was
oh
his
my
third
God.
film, I believe.
Yeah.
And also just a brilliant film that sneaks up on you and really moves you by the end. And
Oh my God.
the way that relationship was built between Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal in the film was just, he had an amazing sensitivity for how people related, especially of various different generations, and for a young guy, when he made those films, he just was really keyed in to that vulnerability between
Yeah.
characters.
I remember being a kid, and maybe we're the same age or something, but I remember my parents taking me, and we saw that, yeah, in a movie theater, Paper Moon,
Yeah,
when I was
yeah,
a
yeah,
kid. I remember
yeah,
seeing that on and just loving it, even as a kid, and falling in love with Madeline Kahn, and
yeah, right. It's
it's
funny, sometimes my film, when it's been on a marquee, they'll forget the S on
oh yeah.
on picture shows.
Oh
And if
no.
I'm lucky enough, as I'm walking
Yeah,
by or lucky enough in
accidental.
the day, I walk in and say, you really got to put an S on that, or people are going to come to this thinking they're going to see Jeff Bridges and Sybil Shepherd in this movie, and
They
they're going
will
to be very
though, right? They
well.
will.
Well, they will, but briefly, and
Yeah.
they're going to be disappointed. If yeah,
Well, okay, this is called The Last Picture Shows, and it's a celebration of these. I mean, I'm calling them vintage, cinemas in the West. But
hmm
is that how you would describe them yourself? Or?
I prefer to vintage is okay. I try to say iconic. They're iconic for those regions, and
Okay, yeah.
they're an iconic symbol of what we've lost and what used to
Hmm.
be the main draw for these towns, especially at night. I have a sequence in my film where I talk about these things that were just like beacons of light and how they
Hmm.
drew people to them.
Hmm.
And so I think they were iconic for these towns and for the idea of cinema and how it reached across the country into the smallest towns possible for so many decades. And that's something we've lost.
Truly, the film's a little fetishistic, if I can say.
Sure. In what way?
Just lingers on these things. You show a lot
Yeah.
of photographs, a lot of
Yeah.
photographs. And it's just there's like in between our meeting these owners, these fanatics. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, you have to have a little fanaticism to run one of those,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
all very reasonable, rational people at the end of the day, and they're beautiful people. And there was a documentary, and I meant to write it down before I got in here and not sound stupid, but I did talk to the filmmakers behind that. I'm sure you might have seen it about drive-ins and
Oh,
a
yeah.
documentary
Yeah.
about I don't remember, like I'm going to say 4 years ago, like about drive-ins, and the filmmaker spoke to found half a dozen drive-ins and showed, and just kind of toggled in between those folks. And one of
Yeah.
them is in the county I live in, and
Mm-hmm.
there's one 7 minutes drive from where I live. Also, there is a multiplex drive-in,
Oh, oh, wow. Yeah, we used to
four
have one of those
screens.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's still open?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's open.
That's
I mean, it's called um, why am I blanking? Anyway, it's not important. It's in Athens or Coxsackie, New York,
okay.
and it's fantastic. And you can sit there and watch a film, and then look over your shoulder and see another one in the distance. That's
Right.
But you could do that because the
Yeah.
quality of the audio in your car is good, and
It's
it doesn't distract you from other screens or anything. Your
y-
window's not open like it was when we were kids. So
yeah.
what year roughly were you born?
Well, I don't need to even say roughly. 1958. I'm
I'm soft.
68.
I was softening the question for anybody sensitive about their divulging their age. All right, so
Yeah.
you're a few years older, but not that I was born in 63.
Okay.
So, and I grew up also going to drive-ins, and like I said, we had all these movie theaters. So there was like it was just so much part of life in our generation. It was just how could you not come out a cinephile and a cinemaphile
Yeah,
and
right.
like
Yeah, right. Well, for me, I tell people that actually the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of my movie watching was that my parents got divorced when I was 7 years old. I was their only kid, and they got divorced, and they needed to figure out what to do with me. And going to the movie was the great thing, and we had double features back then, so it's like boom, 5 hours covered.
Yeah,
And it helped that I loved these films, and it helped that they took me to films that were mature
Well,
films.
we didn't have the there's now endless stream every week of children's films,
Yeah.
right, for juvenile films,
Yeah, yeah.
Pixar's and DreamWorks and Disney and et cetera, et cetera. We didn't have that. We had maybe once every year or two there'd be a Disney movie. But
Yeah,
we would go
right.
to see, like Mel Brooks movies, and we would go to see
Yeah,
James Bond, and we'd go see,
right.
whatever our parents were seeing as well. So
I know, and that's another
thank
thing
God.
that has disturbed me about this division between children's films and adult films. There's no middle ground anymore. It's almost like we're afraid to show kids real life,
Hmm.
even though they can handle it because they live
Yeah,
in real life all the time.
yeah.
And they live in broken homes. They live in families with siblings, and not everybody gets along. And for some reason, this is the other thing. Hollywood feeds this pablum to children where it's got to be the next animated film. And since it did really good business, we're going to make another one exactly like it and put a number behind it and call it a new film. And I remember showing my kids The Miracle Worker when they were like 9 and 6. The black and white film with Patty Duke and Anne Bancroft.
And Bancroft as
Yeah,
Annie Sullivan. Yeah.
yeah. And amazing film. They loved that movie. We talked about it afterwards. This is a film that any kid today should be able to go see because we've
Hmm.
all heard of Helen Keller, right?
Hmm.
And I don't know why they don't make films like that that kids can see because they can handle it. They
Well,
can
it's
re
their job as parents, and
Yeah, yeah,
I guilty of taking my son to many Toy Stories,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then he was
Well,
just visiting from college, and I swear to God, he said, there is a new Toy Story, and I'm like, yeah,
right.
I finally gotten cynical after five of them, it's like, um, but
I
yeah,
was really glad when my kids grew out of the animated movies. And we saw a lot of stuff, but they also wanted to see the animated movies. And I think it was
yeah,
The Incredibles, which wasn't a bad film,
no,
but I could not wait for that movie to be over. And I said to them later, I said, can I get a pass on all future animated movies? Do you guys mind? You can go see them, but I don't want to take you anymore because they bore the shit out of me. I
right.
don't want to see
I
them.
didn't mind sitting in a couple occasions where my kid went with friends, I could
Yeah.
sit outside in the lobby before, they put him through the ticket line and just stay like in the lobby or something. I come back or whatever, and then there were, because of the way some of the really young kids movies play, there's kids talking and running around and parents, talking. So I just go on my phone and watch something.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So I didn't have to. So just a couple of those, but there were some good ones, obviously. But you're right. I mean, the greatest thing I was able to do at a certain point was start to show my son some of my favorite films, and
Right.
we still do it every time he visits. We will make this visit we did 3 films actually because I
Yeah.
showed him Alien,
Hmm.
and then he was curious to see 2, which turned out it's been many years since I said it was not good, and 3, which was not good. In my memory, they were pretty good sequels, but they are not. They don't hold up. Um,
What, like Aliens? Aliens
Aliens,
was
plural.
was the second one.
I didn't like it.
Oh
This
wow, I think that film is fantastic. Yeah.
Well, the problem is there's nobody likable in it, and the
Yeah.
first one they were
Uh,
all incredibly strong,
r-
likable characters, like
right, right.
iconic characters. And when I
Yeah.
watched the sequel this time, I just found them all, they were all in the military, and I thought they were
It's
all
true, yeah.
jingoistic and really loud and obnoxious and cliche. And, I just didn't like it this time.
Yeah, yeah,
So
right. I hear you.
it
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
hold up. I remember liking when I saw it, but they had the great
Yeah.
directors,
Yeah.
making those films. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Anyway,
We could go on and on about every.
we could. And I just wanted to touch on in addition, before we say goodbye, in addition to being a filmmaker, you're also an author. You have a book called Get Close, Lean Team Documentary Filmmaking, which was published by Oxford University Press and is available, as well as you've recently written, I don't know how recent, but Hard Times in Babylon, a novel.
Yes, Hard Times in Babylon. It was a COVID novel.
Oh, okay, not that
I
long ago.
self-published it because no one was interested in it, and I don't have a platform or a name as an author, and that's fine. I wanted to self-publish it, but my filmmaking book, yeah, I got a good publisher for that, and it is all about this idea that I use in my own filmmaking, which is go with as lean a team as possible, a 1 or 2 person team. What that means is, as a filmmaker, you need to learn a lot of the skills that go into it, and you can do
Right.
that as a documentary filmmaker. You can shoot, you can edit, you can
You
edit
can hold
sound. Yeah,
a boom mic or whatever.
yeah, or you can get the sound you need with a lavalier, whatever.
Right, right.
And so that was my book because in the documentary world, these budgets were just getting astronomical. I mean, people were saying, well, you have to have $1 million to make a documentary. And I'm like, no, you don't. You can make a documentary for $30,000.
You did everything here. It
Yeah,
seems like you were a one-man team.
I was.
One man
Band. Is that what you're looking
staff
for?
or
Yeah, yeah.
one man band, but also like a one man crew is the word I was looking for.
Yeah. I did all of the editing, the shooting, the interviewing, and I used very few tools. I just had my camera. I used a shotgun mic on my camera, and I applied a voice isolation filter in post to take out all the background sound. And I employed the idea of getting close to my subject matter.
Right.
And I didn't use any lights. I didn't even bring a light along. I just had the tripod, my camera. And the only concession I had to something a little outside that was a slider, which you can put right on top of your tripod. And then the camera, you can get like a dolly move
Oh.
of about 2 feet.
Oh,
And it's just enough to make it seem like you've got a huge crew with a gaffer, pushing your dolly. That was it. That's all I used. And it was just such great freedom. And it's so unimposing when you come and meet people out in these towns at these theaters where you don't come in with a big crew. It's just one person with a camera asking them questions and they open up immediately, and there's no fuss.
Are you planning on coming east for the New York City screening?
Yeah. I'm trying to get to as many of the screenings as possible to do Q&As.
Right.
So I'll be at 3 Q&As in New York. It opens at the Village East on August 7th. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then we've got a few more screenings around there in Bronxville and Long Island and Chatham. Is it Chatham?
Oh,
New York?
you're going to be in
At the
Chatham?
Crandall?
At the
the
Crandall
Cr-
Theater. When
Yeah.
is that?
Oh gosh, I don't have the date right in front of me. I think it's August
Oh, it's coming right up then.
7th. Yeah, it's when I'm in New York. It's during that week when I'm in New
Well,
York.
that's right near where I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
look for
I
it.
could maybe
Yeah. I'm gonna have one showing there. Yeah. And then it's gonna play in
right.
Somerville. And my booking agent is booking a lot of other things too.
Crandall Theater in August. They just renovated, so it's going to be.
Oh.
I think they just reopened. I mean, so
Oh, that's great.
and you'll love that theater.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be one of the first ones for the sequel. I keep plugging it. I think there's. I mean, you barely scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to document all this stuff.
Yeah.
Rustin,
Yeah.
Rustin.
Rustin, yeah. Rustin,
You go
that's
by
okay.
Rusty, Rustin.
I was Rusty growing up.
Right.
But Rustin is my filmmaker name. But
Got
people
it.
call me Russ. It's okay to call me Russ.
Nice. Okay. No, but I mean, it would be great to have like kind of like a real complete,
Yeah.
documentation or some sort of thing about
Yeah.
all of these places. If you think about it, it's just an enormous undertaking. But
Right.
the Crandall. I'm glad to hear that. I was going to suggest the Community Theater, which is in Catskill, New York, but I think Crandall is a great option, and
Yeah, I've been hearing great things about it. I'm looking forward to it. And the community is supposed to be very film-y. I mean, there are people from the industry who
they
live
have
around there.
in October. They have an annual film festival which is called Film Columbia, the name of the county,
Uh-huh.
and it was founded by a, a couple of a couple of real film people, and the two faces on this festival in particular are Larry Kardish. I don't know if you know who that is.
The name is familiar.
Larry is the founder of MoMA Film. So he
Oh,
created the
okay.
film department at MoMA.
Okay. Great.
And then Peter Biskind,
Yes,
who
Peter
is,
Biskind I heard was there. Yeah.
yeah, so who, of course, for those listening or watching, he wrote Easy Riders and Raging Bulls, among
Mm-hmm.
many other well-known film books. And so those two guys are actively involved in that. And they don't do any advertising or as far as the marketing, because it's just like the community goes and they buy all the tickets. And I think there's a lot of money in that area. So, you
Yeah.
know, um, you should. But if you can't get one of those two gentlemen to, and Larry Kardish is actually coming on this podcast again because he has a new book he just wrote about Shirley Clark, the filmmaker, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm going to get him on for that again to do that. But if you can't get either of them to do your Q&A, you can. If I'm free, I'd be happy to do it.
Oh, that's good to know.
I'm just
Yeah.
putting it out there because I think it's nice
Yeah.
to do that, and
Okay.
I do it a lot at some film festivals. Anyway,
Okay.
I've taken up enough of your time, and I'm sure you have other things to do today. So
Yeah. Well, we have the Seattle premiere tonight, and it's a 200-seat theater, not too far from where I live, and
oh, amazing tonight
yeah, tonight we've
as
sold it
we
out,
speak.
which
Of
is great.
course,
Yeah.
wonderful.
So they've
Congratulations.
they've added another show. So we're doing this little mini Pacific Northwest run before we go to New York, and that's when the national opening is.
100%.
Yeah.
That makes 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad to hear your hometown's premiere. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I will put, if I can figure it out, I was going to just put, oh, here, I'll put this, my email. And
Okay.
if you want to reach out, I don't know
Okay.
what day this is, so I'm not sure if I'm even around, but I'll give you my contact information, and then I will make sure this goes up sooner than later because we want to be able
Okay.
to plug.
Okay. Now, how do I download that, or how do I get that into so I can put it into my email folder? Do you know?
Oh,
Well, let me just put it up again. Let me just write it down. I'll just do that.
oh, it's in the if you click on the chat button on the bottom, I think there
Okay.
should be a button, a link or a button rather to click on and then it'll pop up a window will pop up with that information there, and you can just copy and paste or write it down as well. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Did you find it? I can also email this to, and then also Danielle has my information too. But
Copy. Okay, wait. Let me go to my email. No, this is good to know this. Hang on.
right at the beginning of COVID, I started doing just this. I was still in New York City, and I started doing this all on Zoom, and then I've never gone back to in person.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I don't want to lose this, so I'll just write it down. I'm not figuring it out, and I don't want to.
Adam at Filmwax.
Yeah.
That's the podcast email, and then you
Okay.
could also just text. You could text me too, and just say, "Yeah, I'm going
Okay.
to be at the Crandall on August, whatever day." And
Yeah.
if you
Okay.
need, again, I won't be insulted if somebody else you want to do it with, or if let me know. And
Okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Now I can't get you back on screen, but that's my issue.
well, that can work to some people's advantage.
Yeah. Right.
I work at a radio station, by the way. That's my you don't you do you still work at a radio? I mean, or
I
have
do.
a shift or a show at a radio station?
Yeah, it's a community radio station,
Oh,
but we
okay.
have a really great signal. We have a better signal than almost any other station around, even including the NPR station. And it's called KBCS. I have a radio show there called Road Songs, where it's been on the air for like 23 years, and I play
Wow.
Americana.
You host that entire time, or is it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm the host. Yeah,
For
once a week.
23 years?
Yes. And you do a show every week, and it's Americana music, alternative country, folk, classic country.
Rust, this is my station. I'm a director of operations at a station in the Hudson Valley called WKZE, which you can download the app. It's not a community station. It is a commercial independent radio station, which is
okay,
like an independent art house, a rare thing in this day and age. But we have this area of the Hudson Valley and the Catskills and the Berkshires is so steeped in music. I don't have to tell you Woodstock, whatever. Anyway, that we have a really great, we can have a radio station. We were involved in a lot of live broadcasting from festivals and concerts and just, but it's all the revenue is from independent businesses in the area too, which is just really wonderful model. But we play, mostly rootsy music. I mean,
cool.
A little bit more. We'll have world music and jazz as well and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a great station, and my show is on. In addition to my, being part of the core team, I have a show on from 10 to 3 weekdays.
Oh wow! Is it radio? Is it music or talk?
It's all music. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do a thing, a couple of different features that are like I do interviews and stuff like that for various events and things going on as well. But it's mostly music. That's what people want.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Have a good day. And have a great screening tonight.
Thank you. I think it will be. Yeah.
Okay.